Hi, I'm Wil Wheaton, and today I want to talk about the benefits and liabilities of using minis and battle grids in your role-playing campaign. I started playing RPGs in 1983, and we never used minis and maps. We always had the story unfold in our imagination. When we were playing classic D&D modules like Against the Giants or Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, there were maps that the DM used so that the map could tell the players where they were going. But our combat situations were very different from how they evolved in Dungeons & Dragons version 3.0, 4.0. and beyond. Miniature figures to represent your players and their adversaries are really fun. They can really add a wonderful visual dynamic to your game. They can let your players see exactly where their characters are in relation to the thing that they're fighting and exactly where they are in relation to themselves. This can be great for powers that are specifically related to being adjacent to something or letting you know exactly if you have line of sight to an enemy or something like that. And for players who really like that kind of information, they can really add a wonderful level of tactile reality to the game. They also have a bit of a drawback, I think, in that it takes a game that really wants to exist in the imagination of the players and the game master and take it out of this realm up here where our imaginations all are and put it down here on the table where we're almost playing a tactical combat game like X-Wing or Warhammer 40,000 or something like that. When I started role-playing in the early 80s, we narrated where we were and we all kind of had visualizations in our head of what was going on and where the players were in relation to the bad guys. And sometimes we would ask the game master to remind us where things are. And as a game master, I kind of keep notes on where the players are and where they are in relation to everything else. But I keep people talking and I keep them staying engaged imaginatively in the world. This is really different from when players are looking at minis on a map and they start thinking things like, well, I can move 5 squares in that direction and then I will be adjacent to that dwarf, which lets me help you flank the dwarf. And they start thinking about where things are going tactically. That's fine for a lot of people, and a lot of people really love that. It's really not my favorite way of playing. I find that minis really get in the way of the storytelling, and your players can sometimes start thinking of the narrative aspects of the game as separate from the combat aspects of the game. Combat's a big part of role-playing, and it's fun. It's super fun to feel heroic. It's really fun to feel like I swing my axe and I knock the guy down and all that stuff, or I'm casting the spell from up here and it's hitting the goblin that's down there on the bottom or whatever. And that can be really super great. But I feel like when you divorce the narrative from the battle, you're playing 2 separate games. I prefer to play one game where the imagination is constantly engaged, and I get an opportunity to ask the players, even in combat, what does that look like? Rather than letting a graphic designer who had no idea what my campaign was about paint some skulls on the floor of a map that now my players have to deal with. So minis can be terrific for people who really enjoy that tactical combat experience. I find that they really get in the way of people who really enjoy the narrative experience. You can make your decision in your campaign, but stay in touch with your players and figure out what your players want, because ultimately as a game master, your job is to serve the needs of the players.